Welcome everyone, welcome to the second installment of Commentary Cuisine. Since last time there's something that happened, kinda this. Anyway, that's not what we're going to talk about today, because as far as I'm concerned, People and I, the old man, we've mended bridges and we've respected each other's crafting ways. But today I'm going to focus on baking you guys some cookies, and we're going to do that. And while I'm going to do that, I'm going to try and make a metaphor with how commentary content is actually made. So, starting out, preheat your oven. As you can see, I've got this little microwave combi thing going there. We don't talk about what happened down there. People, you weren't right. Let me highlight that. You weren't right. Alright. Anyway, moving on. Starting, you want to preheat your oven. So in this case, because of the general recipe, we're going to just make chocolate chip cookies. It's kind of just a vessel to explain what I want to explain from. Now in general, I don't mind getting my hands dirty, but I'm going to be kneading the butter instead of doing it with a blender. You could do it with a blender. Be sure to always, when you do that, make sure that it's going to be at least somewhat of a fluid form. You need 100 grams of butter. Let me show that. 100 grams of butter. Just add that to this bowl. Now, I've got my combination of other ingredients here, which is your flour. I'm going to post this over here, and of course my pieces of chocolate. And we need an egg, one egg, at least for these chocolate chip cookies. Normally, like I said, I don't mind getting my hands dirty, but I'm actually going to do the butter creaming by hand, which means I'm going to be putting on the gloves, because it gets real dirty later if you don't. Now make sure that if you use gloves for this, don't get powdered gloves. You can get them unpowdered, it doesn't really matter. You only basically have the powdered one if you're going to wear them for a longer time anyway. Anyway, getting to the butter, we're going to start just netting that. As you see, I've already kind of let it become I already let it get a bit more creamy with the outside, by keeping it outside of the fridge. We're gonna add this to it, alright, which is the listed ingredients earlier, and then we're gonna simply just add our eggs. Making sure that I don't have any left over. We're gonna start netting that into our netting. You're gonna massage it into a dough. Let's put it like that. Especially if you're doing it this way. Now you can do all of this with just alright. So I didn't actually need to break, okay. So you just keep mixing that up in the bowl. You can squeeze it, you can really run your hands through it, especially if you're wearing gloves. Probably cut this up to speed it up, because this is always taking a bit of time. As you can hear, the oven in the background is really preheating. and then we get up to this dough. Now you really want to make sure that it's actually as mixed as you can, because it's gonna affect the end product. If you don't do it, we get like pieces of dried out throughout the whole cookie dough. But anyway, getting up to this point. Now you're gonna make sure, because you got most of it, but you're gonna roll first the bowl again one more time. Make sure you get as much as you can from it. Now, I know some people who start here. You don't eat cookie dough. Let me get it. You don't eat this. You need to bake this first. Alright. Also this one over here. Now, normally, most people would add the chocolate chips to it. I tend to prefer doing the chocolate chips and just kneading them through it, because it's actually tends to mix with the dough better. But that's just my honest opinion. You can do it both ways. If you're blendering, obviously, do this afterwards. Unless you want like the really fine splinters of chocolate in there. Anyway, just gonna keep letting it on. Move it. There we go. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but the way I'm doing it has a very specific reason for me personally, because of the way I like the chocolate chips being divided throughout the cookie. So I know some people actually prefer chocolate chip cookies and add the chocolate like at the last moment when you've already divided it into the smaller lumps, which is fine. It's just, to me, like, it feels more individualized if you... Alright, getting there. If you do it small parts here. If you just do it in the center. Wait, voice trailing off there. Air plug. Alright, so we just lost one earplug. It doesn't really matter. So we got this. You can see, like, it's the chocolate chips are really mixed in there. We're just gonna make little lumps. Should be. Now I've got my small baking grill here. Fucking happened again, twice. Anyway, I really hope that doesn't become a recurring joke. Moving on. Make them small. Be sure you can actually just make them into really small lumps like this, because they tend to even out on their own somewhere across the time. Now you can basically see that I'm very much used to my old oven, because I've got way too much batter going on here for what. You could even add, but for all right, up. I'm just gonna make somewhat bigger cookies, because it's a smaller oven. I'm just it's more to illustrate the highlights anyway. So, when it comes to commentary, for me, it takes all these ingredients, like the flour is your dry stuff, the actual subject of the content, and then you've got your egg, which is basically the most important part. Without the egg, it just stays all dust and everything. It's so moist that you add to it. But those cookies, those kind of on the outside, not totally. I'm gonna do one more. Big one. But the dry stuff is what the subject is of the specific commentary content, and the egg that's added to it is the creator that's basically reviewing the content. So you need good eggs. If you got a bad egg, you'll have bad content. It's also the part where people tend to make different kinds of cookies. All the commentary content is at least somewhat slightly different, but at the same time, I'm gonna do the same. But at the same time, you've got your bad eggs. Make sure you check your sources. Make sure you know that if the creator you follow has any kind of personal beef in that regard, just to be sure. Anyway, we're gonna start moving this one up. Here. Move it in. And we're gonna start it. Alright. So, you can take these off. So when it comes to commentary, there's all kinds of different cookies, and those kind of represent to me the different kind of subgenres of commentary you got. You've got your heavy cookies, you've got your light cookies, the one that go with the biscuits that go with the tea, which are actually kind of bland and very common. But of course, above all else, we've got this. Since a couple of years, we've got this commentary creator that actually raises the bar and is kind of the gold standard when it comes to how you cover something and the way in which you cover it, which is both pleasant towards your audience and yourself. And I think nothing quite illustrates that as well as the Oreo above. Really good. Like, you can always wake me up for a day order. Anyway, at some point I'm gonna try and reproduce this as a cookie, because the content I'm not gonna be able to make. Alright, so we're back. As you can see, I've got my first load up here. Crazy. I've got a second batch up there that actually was the remnants of what I had left, so I'm gonna just fish that one out. Look at those. Now we move this. Move it to the side. That way we can get these little puppies. Now these are still a bit soft, as you can see, because they actually need to air up and dry out a little bit. And once they do, you'll get the very crispy flavor. Now, what I specifically like about doing home-baked cookies is that you can really sense they were homemade and not in the bad way. Basically, because they're all shaped in their own individual sizes and by the same notion, specifically with chocolate chip cookies, I like it when the core is at least still a little bit, let me show you, more soft, so that when you bite it, so that when you bite it, it's actually not fully, I wouldn't say dry, but too crusty. Crusty. You English have weird words sometimes. Anyway, but yeah, that's basically what it is. Now, any kind of cookie and any kind of content creator comes in different sizes and different shapes, tastes, ingredients. But what I specifically like about commentary is that you kind of always have a general feeling of what you're getting, even if every cookie is so different. Really good. Anyway, that was it for this week. I don't know if that's gonna be fixed by next week. So maybe for next week I'm probably going to end up doing something that doesn't require an oven or a stove. Maybe, and we can always do some sweet tea. Anyway, talk to you all later. Maybe not so bad after all.